Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to give my quick impressions on E3. I haven't made a video in about 3 weeks, and I really don't have much to say or really to talk about E3 because I know people are going to ask, well, you've never made an E3 video before. Well, the big reason I never made an E3 video before is because, well, quite frankly, I don't really watch E3. Really, all I do is kind of watch, oh, hey, this person's talking about this that happened at E3, and they just kind of recap what each conference had. To me personally, E3 I think is kind of a waste of time to watch because a lot of times it's hopes and dreams. I mean, you look at, half the games that have came out, that people have been hyped for about E3, and then yet they actually see them and they don't look nearly as good, or they don't ever come out, or they get delayed like 600 times, and you never see them again. It's just, to me, it's just hopes and dreams. And until I get some actual release dates, which again I could just find on Wikipedia or whatever, it's not really a big deal, then I'm like, okay, I'm interested. There's a few games that I was looking forward to, and I actually saw some gameplay for that I'll talk about. I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way because I'm actually thinking about it right now, and I about forgot to. I was kind of rehearsing this video earlier, just trying to think of what I wanted to say, because again, I don't know every game that's coming out of E3. I didn't watch any of the press conferences. I just kind of heard about it. I'm just going to give you my opinions on some of the games that are coming out. Maybe they had some stuff, maybe they didn't, or whatever. I don't know. I may get off on a tangent and kind of talk about that, but I'll go ahead and just list a couple of games, and maybe I'll actually talk about these other ones as well. And maybe I didn't list them, but one of them was Need for Speed, Battlefront. Um, of course, I'll give my impressions on Fallout 4. That's very quick because, quite frankly, I'm just not interested in Fallout very much. But there was that, and then there was something else. Um, I don't remember. I don't remember. I'll just kind of talk about it and just see where it goes. If I missed anything, oh well. I don't think this video is going to get that highly viewed because, again, it's just another shitty E3 video, you know what I mean? Except mine's just my small opinions on a few games that are coming out. So, again, first up is Need for Speed, because when I was thinking about this, I didn't actually think about this one. But yeah, Need for Speed, that was coming out, and when I saw the trailer, I was really hyped. Back, I don't know, it was probably a few weeks ago that the trailer dropped. And I was like, oh man, this feels like Underground 2. Like, I get this Underground 2 mixed with, like, Most Wanted vibe with having the cops. And I guess this new Need for Speed is going to be a reboot because, like, forever they were releasing a Need for Speed game every year. And the fact that they didn't release one last year was kind of like, oh, a red flag. Like, wow, you guys aren't going to make one? Which is kind of funny because they made the movie, which I actually really enjoyed that movie. I really thought it was going to be a really bad, like, Fast and the Furious ripoff, but it was really good. I know the acting's not really the best, but the actual film itself I thought was really good. One of the best video game movies since Mortal Kombat, and that's no joke. It was really well done. It's not really if you guys seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll do an actual video on that one day because I really do love that movie a lot, and I'd like to talk about it one day. And I really, really hope the sequel comes. But anyway, Need for Speed. Again, I've been interested in Need for Speed since the Underground days. I bought Underground 2 when it was brand new. I bought it on the Xbox because that was back when I had an original Xbox. Really enjoyed Underground 2, but I thought Underground 1 was a cool game, but I never had owned it. I just played it at a friend's house. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. It's like a Fast and the Furious video game that's actually done correctly. And then I, had Need for Speed Underground 2, and that was epic. So then I got Most Wanted, and then I was like, wow, Most Wanted was really good. And then Carbon came out, and I never got around to getting it because I usually waited till the games went down, other than Need for Speed Underground, because I really, really wanted that game. And, that was back when games were $50, so I was playing that, and, Carbon came out, and I never really played it. Then I had a buddy of mine play it, and he's like, man, this just was not as good as Most Wanted. It wasn't even as good as Underground 2. Most people rate those as the highest sort of rated Need for Speed games, at least the modern ones. I know some people are just fans of the classic style Need for Speed, but so this reboot really felt like a new Need for Speed. There has been some problems. Apparently, this new Need for Speed is going to be always online, which is kind of stupid, I think. I don't mind that if they did it like they did with Rivals, where you could optionally be online and you could like race with people and drive around open world. But the fact that this is going to be like, online always, it's probably going to be like an MMO without the subscription. But I just think that's a little bit disappointing, because then there's going to be a day the servers are shut down and you're never going to get to play this game. So here in like 5 years or 7 years, you're not even going to get to play this game ever again. Now, granted, they'll probably have a, sequel that's better, but I don't know. It's just kind of disappointing in that regard. The little bit of gameplay I saw looked really good. Like, graphically, it looks really good. Um, I've always praised the Frostbite 3 engine. It does look very, very good. The developers, Ghost, I'm not really a big fan of them. I mean, I don't hate them or anything, but, I don't remember who did the old, Underground 2 and Most Wanted. I think someone said Black Box Studio did that. And if they did, man, Black Box dropped the ball hard when Undercover came out because that game was garbage, right? Carbon, Rivals, I hadn't played a game since Carbon, or, excuse me, since Pro Street. Need for Speed, I hadn't played it since Pro Street until I got Rivals. And Rivals felt like Carbon. Like, it felt like one of those games that was decent, but it just did not live up to the standards of Underground 2 and Most Wanted. So I'm hoping that this game will deliver in that regard. Now, the other thing being with this game is the fact that they had a gameplay clip. And it was like like you were driving around kind of like in Rivals, and then I guess you like challenge a guy, and it's like, oh, you're doing a drift. So, just like in the old days, you do drifting in Underground, and it's like, oh, we're going to have drifting. But now they've got this like drift camera, and like I said, the drifting looked pretty fun. But one thing I really wish Ghost would implement would be a slowdown feature, like you had in Most Wanted and Carbon. Because quite frankly, when you're going at those high speeds, you gotta have really good reflexes. Maybe my reflexes, because I've gotten older, maybe they've gone down since I played Underground 2 and Most Wanted, which I don't really believe so, but, you're going so fast in those games, and it's like, oh, you gotta, like, make these split-second decisions, and then it's like, oh, you hit this car, and you have to watch a cutscene while you wreck. I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I just want to hit the car and, okay, yeah, I slam into the car, whatever, let's keep going. It really kills the pace. I really hated that about Rivals. But I thought Rivals did a lot of other things really well. I thought the graphics looked decent, partially probably because it was Frostbite 3. But not only that, it had really good music, and the car selection was halfway decent. Kind of reminded me of like a Most Wanted, like, if you actually had Most Wanted that was done, kind of like that. And not like the reboot. I never played the reboot of Most Wanted, but, I mean, that's kind of what this felt like. It felt like a reboot of the old Most Wanted, but with a unique gameplay, like, oh, you can play as the cops or the racers. I thought that was a cool idea. So I thought there were more positives than there were negatives about Rivals, but again, it was like one of those Carbon things, where the negatives in Carbon really stuck out, the negatives in Rivals really stuck out, and it really just bugged me. You know what I mean? So it made it kind of like a 7 out of 10 game. A game that really wasn't top tier, but it wasn't like bottom tier, like Undercover and a few of the other games. So that's Need for Speed. The next one's going to be Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront I always thought was alright. The old games, I never really played them a whole lot. I played the demo back in the day on Xbox, the original Battlefront from back in the day, and I loved it. I just never got around to getting the games, mainly because I think maybe that was around the time that I was getting out of Star Wars. I think this was around the time I was kind of trying to mature. I was getting a car. I was more interested in that stuff than video games and Star Wars and stuff. So, I really didn't care about getting Battlefront and all that. I just didn't care. And I couldn't play it online because that was really back in the day that the online really wasn't there. Maybe it was on PC, but on consoles it just really, it wasn't like that, like it was with PS3 and 360, where it was like really big and pretty much everyone you knew had it. You know what I mean? But it was still a fun looking game, and like I said, for what little bit I did play back in the day, I remember really enjoying it. Um, and the game looks okay. It looks fun. The visuals look nice. Again, this is another game I believe that's on Frostbite 3. But the problem is, for one, it's DICE and EA. I already know their track record, with the Battlefield games because I've played them for so long. And, DICE's games are always kind of buggy. They're not always there. They're not downright terrible a lot of times, but they're annoying sometimes. Especially Battlefield 4 was just really, really bad launch. Battlefield 3 was not that bad, but Battlefield 3 still had a lot of bugs that they didn't fix till about a year after the game was out. So, again, I wouldn't recommend pre-ordering Battlefront, but I'd recommend maybe checking it out. I would say wait for the reviews, see what comes up. But I'm at least interested in the game. It looks like it has the potential to be fun. I know a lot of people are talking about how, oh, but they're not doing space battles. They're only focusing on infantry combat, so they'll probably DLC it. And yeah, that kind of sucks, but if you get a really strong game in the end, I don't really see anything that bad about it. I mean, I think it's kind of crap that they're not going to put it all together and maybe work on it one at a time. But, if it ends up meaning you get a more solid game in the end and hey, we've got the infantry combat worked out. Let's add space battles. Let's master that. And then you'll have a great game. A really high quality game. But again, with EA and DICE's track record, it's going to be buggy. I can almost guarantee it. And there's just not much else to say. I wouldn't recommend pre-ordering it. I'd definitely wait for the reviews. Maybe wait a year. Get the premium edition if they do premium for this game. Just do that, and then you'll get all the content, and the game will be fixed really well. Um, you know, I can't say what system to get it on because I really don't know. I thought the PlayStation 4 version looked fine. It'll probably be the version I get. But again, pick whatever version you want. But I just want to see some good games. I don't care if the game has a big visual fidelity or not. I just want it to play well, which kind of brings me into my next point, which is Fallout 4. Now, again, I'm not the biggest Bethesda fan. I mean, I liked Oblivion when it was out, and I liked Morrowind when it was out back on the original Xbox. But pretty much after those games, because those games are kind of revolutionary, Morrowind was a really nice looking, big open world game, but it had its share of problems like, oh, you get poisoned by the rats and just other little things that personally when I played Morrowind back in the day I never cared for. And it seemed like Oblivion kind of fixed a lot of those things and increased the visual fidelity because, well, of course it was on a next-gen system. So I thought that was really cool. But beyond that, when Fallout was coming out, I thought it looked really good, and then when I never really played it, but a buddy of mine played it, he said it wasn't that good. He said you break your arms and oh you have to survive and rely on bottle caps and stuff to buy stuff, and he's like it was like Oblivion with guns. The whole joke is it's like Skyrim with guns, but this was back in the day when it was Oblivion with guns. But it was crappier because it was like you had to do all this survival stuff. And I understand, it's kind of an apocalyptic game. It's supposed to have that kind of setting, but come on. There's some stuff you just didn't need. And it seemed like when Borderlands came out the next year, it just wiped the floor with Fallout. And it seems like that's why they really never had anything past Fallout New Vegas. New Vegas kind of fixed some of the things. I don't think you could break your arms in New Vegas, and you didn't have the stupid bottle cap thing anymore. So it seemed like it was the right way to go with Fallout. It seemed like a better game. I have it on PC. I've not played a whole lot of it because it just really never held my interest, but it seems like a better game than Fallout 3. But still, to me, I think Borderlands just plays better. I think, it's just a funner game. You like the characters more, I don't know, it just seems more fun. than Fallout. Fallout seems very serious, and then when you actually play it, yeah, visually it looks okay, decent, but when you actually play it, it just does not play very well, in my opinion. I've just never thought those games played that well. I thought they always looked really good, but playing well, maybe if you have it on the PC, it looks good. I mean, Skyrim looks great on the PC. On the consoles, it looks like crap. It really does. Has a lot of bugs, a lot of problems, especially the PS3 version. You touched water. Well, now your game froze. Come on. Stuff like that is just annoying. You know? So that's why I don't really get hyped for E3 because of little things like that. Like, you know, what kind of surprises am I going to be in for? If the game visually, the visual fidelity of the game looks really good, but what do I take a hit in turn, especially playing on a console? What do I take a hit in? Am I going to take a hit in the frame rate? Am I going to take a hit in, oh, well, the game's really buggy because we just want to make it look good, but we didn't actually iron out all the bugs and just things like that kind of bug me, you know? But yeah, that was pretty much that. Again, there was a few other announcements. Shenmue 3. Never really played those games. Don't really have an interest in them. It's great that other people do. I've never played them, so I don't have an opinion. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I guess it's about time. I don't see why everyone's creaming their pants over it. If you know the story, you know the story. I understand the visuals on Final Fantasy VII are pretty bad now. I've got it on, PC. Obviously, that doesn't mean it's going to look like Skyrim, of course, from 1997 or whatever. But my point is, if you know the story, what are the better visuals really going to do? Is the gameplay still going to be the same, or is it going to be changed? And from what I understand, what did they even see in Final Fantasy VII, the remake? I didn't see the trailer, but I'm going to guess it was just cutscenes. And they're just like, look, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. So are they going to make it the classic style? Or are they going to implement it in a new way? Are they going to mess it up? Just because there's a trailer or some video, doesn't mean anything to me. The game could look like Final Fantasy 15, but what are you going to do if they change the gameplay and say, okay, it's going to be Final Fantasy 7 Remake, but it plays like Final Fantasy 13? Or, just change. I mean, what if they change something like that? Is that going to change your opinion on the game? It's still the same story. It's the same game. It's Final Fantasy 7 with updated visuals. I mean, that's kind of my question at the end of the day is, I didn't see any gameplay. I assume there's no gameplay for this. Again, Final Fantasy 7 is not really a game that interests me that much. It's not because it's a bad game. It's just, I think it's kind of overrated, to be honest. I mean, I know a lot of people wanted it, and if that's what you want, fine. That's great. Good for you. You want Final Fantasy 7. I was more of an Ocarina of Time sort of person. Granted, because I had Nintendo, and I did have PlayStation, but, that kind of game really wasn't, like, that popular. Like, oh, everybody was going to buy it like they do now, It was just another one of those greatest hits. Hey, it's a Final Fantasy game, It's not to say it's bad or anything, but it's just, there was no hype like it has hype now, you know what I mean? It just seems, and I think a lot of it is just nostalgia. I've played it on the PC. I thought it was decent. I didn't think it was this epic game, the most epic RPG I've ever played. None of that. I just thought it was okay. And I'm glad for people who wanted the remake. Fine. Good. You have a remake of Final Fantasy VII. I'm personally kind of tired of seeing stuff for Final Fantasy VII. I don't think it's that epic. I just think it's okay. And I like to play stuff that's different. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy 15 more than I am for Final Fantasy 7 Reboot. Because it's something new and fresh, something I haven't seen. So, that's kind of my opinion on the Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I mean, again, I could take it or leave it. I've got the movie over there, Final Fantasy 7 Advent Children. Just thought, why not? I've seen it before. Thought it was alright. But do I really need a remake of it? Again, I could take it or leave it. Doesn't really... I'm not really for or against it. I just don't really care. I like to play stuff that's new. I'm not really big on playing remakes. You know, if I've played it, I've played it, and I've played Final Fantasy VII. I thought it was okay. You know, I don't want to feel like a broken record here, but that's just what I have to say. I don't really know what else to talk about. I'm trying to think of some other games because, like I said, I don't watch any of the conferences, so Nintendo really don't care. I heard they had a really, really bad conference. I don't care because I don't own a Wii U. That's another thing that really kind of bugs me about E3. It's like, unless you have all these consoles, what's the point? You know, I mean, I guess it's to get hyped up for some of the games, but it just doesn't interest me. You know, Nintendo's new, you know, their Wii U. If it was cheaper, I'd consider getting it, but I just don't really want to. You know, I've got PC and I've got PS4. I think that's enough. You know, I think that's enough systems to buy for. You know, I don't need the Xbox One for like 5 games or whatever, you know, and the Wii for like 5 games, you know. The PlayStation, I'm going to get a vast amount of JRPGs and, you know, other little things. I'm not big on Sony exclusives, but, you know, I like a couple of their games like Uncharted and Gran Turismo. And the PC, you know, I'll be able to get the big graphical fidelity that I'll get, you know, that you can't get on the consoles. You know, I'll be able to get those bigger resolutions. And, you know, it's not like tapping into some secret source. When I put a better video card in here in the next year or so, hey, I'll be able to run in 4K. And, you know, consoles are always going to run 900p or 720p or 1080p. And that's it. They're never going to run higher. You know, at least with PC, you can swap your video card out. Granted, you're buying another video card, but you, you can you can see those games in better graphical fidelity. Instead of HD remastering, just change it out of the video card. That's basically all you're doing. I'm not a fan of HD remasters. Again, the Final Fantasy VII's a little more understandable, but I'm talking about like Sleeping Dogs and all this other crap that's coming out. God of War 3. God of War 3, a game that's 5 years old. You're going to remaster that. Oh, but it's for the people who didn't get to play those old systems. Go out and buy one. It's not like when they were doing it for the PS2 games, and it was like, okay, people's PS2s are broken or they just don't sell them anymore. That was one thing. To get like the Tomb Raider collection, the Devil May Cry collection, whatever other collections, Prince of Persia, maybe some of those games were hard to find, kind of expensive, you know, sometimes those games would sell those 3-pack of games for like 20 bucks. So it's like, it's just cheaper to get the game. That was another thing. These games, there's one game in there, it's been amped up to 1080p, which really is nothing, and then, oh, well, we put the DLC in it, so that means it's worth $60. Now, if these games are like 20 bucks, 30 bucks, I could see that being okay. $60? No. Not even with all the DLC. If you want all the DLC and all that crap, get a PC, go get Steam, and be done with it. There's no such thing as HD remasters on Steam because it doesn't exist, because you can just upgrade your graphics card. And there, that's your HD remaster. And you didn't have to buy the game 600 times. You want to talk about how PC is expensive, but you're going out buying $60 remasters. It just blows my mind. And that's another reason why I don't care about E3. You know? I don't really care about watching what HD remakes coming out. Gears of War HD remaster. It all started with Tomb Raider. I know it started with other games before, but really for this gen it started with Tomb Raider. It was Tomb Raider, then it was like Last of Us, then all these other games started. Remaster, 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 remaster. It's like, stop! Make new games! It's another reason I didn't watch E3 this year. Half the crap I saw anyway was just the, okay, great, Fallout 4. I'm not hyped for that. You know? I'm hyped for Need for Speed because I haven't played a good Need for Speed in a long time. I haven't even played the last 5 or 6 Need for Speeds, except for Rivals. You know? And even that was more of a carbon tier game. It wasn't really that epic, but it wasn't bad. It just was in the middle. It was a good game that had problems. You know, I just want to play some good games. I want to play some fresh games. You know, and I want to get that feeling back when I had, you know, when I was playing Need for Speed. There's no feeling going back to a game like God of War 3. It's God of War 3. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. You know, Final Fantasy VII, if they change the battle system or update some stuff, cool. I'm glad that they're getting an updated visuals on games. I think that remake's a little more constituted than this crap, but again, I don't really know what else to say. I think I covered everything that I want to talk about E3 anyway. This video's gone on for about 25 minutes. I'm getting kind of tired and just tired of talking and just I just don't care. The Nintendo conference I heard wasn't that good. I heard Xbox was actually pretty good this year, but again, I don't care because I don't have an Xbox. So I'm not gonna watch it. Even Sony, I have a PS4. I didn't even watch theirs because I don't I know what's coming out. Uncharted, great, I'll play that. I still have to play Uncharted 3 anyway, so you know, I'm looking forward to that. Gran Turismo, you know, I already, I've played Gran Turismo before. That's kind of a stale game too, but I still kind of like those games, but they're still kind of stale. I would never give $60 for a Gran Turismo game. Um, I don't remember any of the other games that came out. I mean, those are the big ones. I just listed to you all the big ones. All the big ones that everyone's talking about pretty much. Um, like I said, Shenmue, never played it. Or Shenmue, I don't give a fuck how you say it. I never played it. I know it was on the Dreamcast and the Xbox. Never played it. Don't really care. Um, Final Fantasy VII, again, I've got it on Steam. I played it. I thought it was alright. If you want the better music version, get the PlayStation version. Because you get the crappy music on PC. But I don't care. I really don't. Um, Again, Nintendo, I don't own a Wii U, so I don't really care about their stuff. I heard they had a new Star Fox game. Again, I haven't played a good Star Fox game since Star Fox 64. I played Star Fox Adventures. I really didn't think that was that great. I didn't think it was horrible, but I didn't think it was that great either. Star Fox Assault, I heard, was pretty crappy. I heard it was okay for the first level, but like the rest of the game is not anything like a Star Fox game, from what I understand. So, again, I just never had an interest in that. Um, oh, Mario Maker. I'll go ahead and talk about Mario Maker. I didn't see anything for it, but I've heard about it. I thought it was already out. But apparently it's not out. But it's basically like a Mario game where you make your own levels. So basically, like, you make it from the original Mario Brothers, I think Mario 3, and then maybe even Mario World. That sounds really, really cool. You know, that sounds like a game I'd buy. I also consider myself, again, guys, I know you guys are going to think I'm an asshole or a douchebag or whatever, but go ahead and think what you want. I don't give a fuck. But really, at the end of the day, I am more of an old school gamer. I'm not really a new school gamer. I mean, I have new school stuff, PC, because I like to push the visuals. But, some of the stuff on PS4 I have because the community's bigger, or I just prefer to play it on a DualShock controller or something. There's some things that always bring me back to a console. I always grew up on consoles. So I'm not a PC elitist. Yeah, I kind of sound that way now because I think the consoles of today really aren't worth the money. I only bought the PS4 to get some of the extra games that weren't going to come on PC, and that's pretty much it. So sometimes PC doesn't get a good port, so I get it on the console. That's why. But I consider myself still more of an old school gamer. I think that's why I like a lot of these old games coming back. Like Nintendo bringing back some of these games that I used to play. Like Star Fox 64 and bringing back stuff like Donkey Kong and all this other stuff that I used to play, and really, really enjoyed. And they are time-tested games. They aren't just games that, they were old, like NES games that were just like crap because they were too hard or didn't have a password system or save system or whatever. Super Nintendo, I think, was pretty much the best generation. It really was. It had, the best selection of games that were fresh, or they were improved upon, modified. They were better. There was no real frame rate problems with games like that back in the day. You could say that maybe on Super Nintendo some games were like that, but Sega Genesis really didn't have that problem. It just didn't have the graphical fidelity that, Genesis had. But, I just consider myself more of an old school gamer. I think that's why I've never made an E3 video, and, I just don't really care about new games. I don't want to see a game like Watch Dogs come out at E3, and then I get it, and it's disappointing as hell. You know, Drive Club. Yeah, this game looks epic. Comes out and the textures look like something from PS2. The environments look great, but the road textures, all that, looked like crap. Just, I'm tired of getting disappointed by games. And that's one of the reasons I never watch E3. I was watching it somewhat in 2013 because I wanted to see what the PlayStation 4 was going to bring and what the games were going to look like. What kind of games it was going to have and all that. And I want to see what the console looked like, other stuff. Other than that, I don't follow E3. I don't care about a lot of the games that come out. I don't buy games at $60. I think that's another thing. I've always been very frugal about buying games. I've always been the kind of person that likes to buy them at cheap prices. And for me, PC just seems like my platform. PS4, again, I do have it. It's over there for, certain reasons. I don't want to buy Ubisoft games on the PC because I don't support Uplay. So I go buy them on the console. Don't have to deal with Uplay over there. Maybe to get like little achievements or whatever stupid thing they want to implement in there, online multiplayer, whatever. I don't care. You know, I'll buy those on console. Again, Origin. I don't really like Origin on the PC. Other than getting the free games, I don't like it. So I'd rather just get them on the PlayStation. Again, it's the only reason I have that. That's the only reason I have like 5 games for it. That's why I have so many games on PC. That's why I've been gaming on PC, and I'm going to continue to game on PC. PS4 is going to have certain stuff. I'm just going to prefer to play it on the PS4, regardless of the graphical fidelity. But, some of these games, it's just like night and day running on the PC and the PS4. It's just crazy. So, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching. Take care. Yeah, it's been like 32 minutes or close to it. I know most of you didn't make it to the end. That's fine. I know I'm not the most interesting person to listen to. I know I don't have the biggest opinions on anything. And my opinions aren't always the ones you want to hear. But that's just how it goes. So, anyway, that's my opinion on E3 2015. I don't even know if it's over yet. I don't really care. That's how little I care about E3. So, I only made this video to have something to put up because, again, I haven't put up something in about 3 weeks. So, I figured I'd just give you guys a video. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Peace.